I can remember at least 5 cars I have vomited in. The first time I can remember getting car sick was when I was 6 years old and felt an uneasy feeling of my mouth salivating more than necessary. My dad didn't like to stop on any road trip unless absolutely necessary, always trying to beat his own record. Even at 6, I understood this about him, but I knew that I was going to be sick, so I asked him if we could stop. He told me to wait, since we were almost home. It was the early 90s, when cars still had ashtrays in the door handles. So as I threw up, I tried my best to aim for that spot so that it collected and pooled into the tiny receptacle. It seemed the most practical way to guarantee an easy cleanup for any situation, so as not to further inconvenience anyone. I remember my dad angrily scooping my puke out of the tiny cavity as he cleaned the car, while I wondered if he even appreciated my thoughtful gesture. In college, my friend drove me home on my 21st birthday after taking me out to a fancy dinner and many drinks with friends. A mere block away from her house, I told her from the back seat that we needed to pull over so I could get the liquor that was inside of me outside of me as soon as possible. Unfortunately, I didn't make it home that time either. Wanting to be a considerate car-sick passenger, I did attempt to roll down the window. The window, however, did not open in time, causing my vomit to stream down the side of the glass as it rolled down into that crevice of the car door, and my undigested dinner disappeared into the abyss. I'm sorry I threw up the crab cakes, I said as I wiped away the vomit from my mouth. I told her regretfully as I wiped my mouth, I know they were really expensive. These days, I always request to sit in the front seat, and if possible, I drive or walk. After finishing college, I moved to France and enrolled in school, signed up for free health care and discounted train tickets, and accepted my monthly stipend from the government just for living there. I lived in an apartment above a touristy store that sold dried lavender and handmade soaps, and it had those windows you could open with 2 hands like you're in that movie from Beauty and the Beast. It was, for the most part, as idyllic as it sounds. I was able to take classes at a French school and work odd jobs on the side. I taught English lessons to a set of 8-year-old twin girls who asked me to teach them what the lyrics from the Shakira song Hips Don't Lie mean. I was a babysitter for a 7-year-old boy who once told me that he was an atheist and that no one would want a Bible even if it was free on the shelf at a store. Even French children are cynical existentialists. One of the best gigs came from a wealthy family who lived in Marseille, a 30-minute drive from a small town where I resided. They had a second home in the Alps where they would go skiing on the weekends, and they were looking for a part-time nanny to join them and watch their 2-year-old son, Guillaume. While they spent the day on the slopes, the 5-year-old daughter, Clara, would join them for skiing because, well, of course she would. I met the family and obviously charmed them with my classically American people-pleasing personality. They subsequently invited me on a weekend jaunt to Vars, a ski town nestled in the French Alps. They picked me up in their sports car, a sleek Audi equipped with 2 car seats for Guillaume and Clara in the back seat. I would sit wedged between the children. The father, Pierre, happened to be a luxury car salesman who raced cars for fun on the weekends. On the drive to Vars, I was enchanted by the snow-capped mountains and the cute provincial towns. I was also somewhat uneasy about the hairpin turns and the roads without guardrails, but I would never speak about that. I would be an amiable and cooperative guest. I would prove to them that I was the best American nanny of all time. I was in my early 20s, so naturally, I was vegetarian. This is not really a concept that most French people understood, so I would spend entirely too much time explaining what that meant. Yes, I eat cheese. No, I do not eat foie gras. Once during college, while studying abroad and before I officially moved there part-time, I attempted to explain my food preferences to my host family. This was the time before smartphones, so we would keep a French-English dictionary on the table during dinners for quick reference. My host mom was very considerate of my dietary restrictions, so she posed careful questions. I, on the other hand, was not always equipped with the niche language I required to articulate my nuanced preferences. I wanted to demonstrate to them that I was not like other Americans who ate fast food. I was sophisticated and cosmopolitan. I searched my brain for the right words to express my predilection for unprocessed foods as I confidently proclaimed to her, "Je préfère manger sans préservatif," which I assumed meant that I liked eating whole foods without preservatives. Based on her eyes, which popped out of her head like a goddamn Looney Tunes cartoon, I immediately inferred that I very much did not convey the idea I had hoped to. Her patient and kind eyes gestured towards the dictionary, and after a very long silence, during which I frantically rifled through the pages, I quickly recognized my error. The word préservatif is what the French call a faux ami or a fake friend. It's a false cognate. It doesn't mean what you think it means. Préservatif means a condom. I had just told her that I prefer eating without a condom. With that experience etched in my brain, I arrived as the easygoing American nanny in bars. I was shown around the kitchen and made sure to use the correct vocabulary to describe my food preferences. The mother, Marie, was not a celebrated French cook. In fact, I don't think she really knew how to cook anything unless it was reheated in a microwave. Despite feeling completely out of place, I enjoyed our sweet little weekend. And I got a chance to practice my French with a 2-year-old boy who was really the most forgiving and patient of all my language teachers. On our last night there, Marie and Pierre went out to dinner and left me to tend to the children. Unsure of what to prepare for me, and being an unskilled chef that she was, Marie reheated a plain can of peas for me and the kids to enjoy for dinner. "Désolé, ma bon appétit," she said. "Pas de problème," I told her as I choked down. Only occasionally chewing the peas, I would go down in history as the American nanny who changed how this family saw Americans. I would be memorialized for my spellbinding ability to be accommodating and never complain. We departed later that evening for our return to Marseille, the car packed, my stomach nearly empty. I was once again squeezed between the two children in the back seat, who both slept soundly. It was dark out now, and those hairpin turns without guardrails felt a lot more treacherous as we traveled downhill this time. Pierre took the turns like he was in a Formula One race, and my anxiety mounted as I began to feel that all too familiar feeling of my mouth salivating more than necessary. I started to panic, wondering how I'd properly tell them that I was going to throw up. I wouldn't make any kind of idiomatic mistake this time. I would very properly tell them with grammatical correctness that we needed to pull over the car because I was carsick. I began to translate in my head. Okay, do I say, "Je suis malade"? I am sick? I wondered. Or should I say, "Je tombe malade"? I'm getting sick? Wait. I need to use the future tense. I should say, "Je vais vomir." I am going to vomit. Yes, that's what I'm going to say. I should say, "I'm going to vomit." That's what I will say. I'm so good at French. I will say that now. Too late. Before I could get the words out of my mouth, the canned peas made their way out first, coating my shirt, jacket, scarf, and pants in a bright green slime. I also instinctively tried to spare the fine leather seats by capturing some of it in my cupped hands. Okay, so now I thought, I'm pretty sure I should say, "Je viens de vomir." I just vomited. present simple tense. Marie heard my soft voice mumbling in French from the back seat as she turned around to take in the horrific scene. I looked like a contestant on a 90s Nickelodeon game show. A cultural reference she would never even understand. We pulled off the side of the road and she helped me climb over the sleeping children, the palms of my hands filled with peas and bile so that I could get a change of clothes from my suitcase stowed in the trunk of the car. When I initially moved to the south of France in my early 20s, I pictured biking through sunflower fields, drinking carafes of rosé on terraces, opening my Beauty and the Beast style windows upon the town square. One thing I in fact did not picture was standing on the side of a snowy road in the Alps with my pants off. But that's romance for you. Romance in France, you never know what to expect. After they dropped me off at my apartment around midnight, I collected my barf-stained clothes and suitcase, thanking them and apologizing profusely. They assured me that they'd seen their fair share of vomit with 2 young kids, but I felt certain they were just being polite and expected I'd never hear from them again. It was a shame because it was an easy gig for a considerable amount of money. To my surprise, a few days later, I received an SMS on my flip phone from Marie asking me if I was free the next weekend. Her text message included a promise that Pierre would drive more carefully, reassurance that no peas would be involved in any of our future trips, and something about how, this is a rough translation, I was the greatest nanny of all time. Miss my case!
All right, give it up for Laura. All right, so 2 stories in. One was a 3-dick ejaculating Godzilla. The other one is vomit. Thank you so very much, Emily. Give it up for Emily! Oh, yeah. The baddest bitch on the block. Ow, ow. So, vomit. Yeah, that was that. Definitely brings up a time. I was probably 2007, Rio de Janeiro. Picture it. Me, outside of a nightclub. Not looking like this, I can assure you. Waiting outside, this long line to get into this super cool, super hip club. This suspicious woman comes walking by with a suspicious cardboard box full of liquors and Red Bulls. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll have a shot before the club. It's gonna be so much fun. So I just kind of point. I don't speak Portuguese, surprise. But pointing, Red Bull, clear liquid. Take this shot, immediately knew it was gonna be fucking bad. It wasn't even like room temperature, it was hot, which was surprising, out of this little cardboard box, and it hit my gut and just came roaring back up, and I caught it in my hands. And I just... My friends were eyeballing me in horror. I wiped it on my jeans, and we had the best fucking time of our lives. Yeah, so, sorry y'all, this titty. She has a mind of her own. Can I get an amen, girls? Can I get an amen? They're just titties be tittying. Anyway, well, moving right along. We ready for another story? I'm afraid of what this could possibly be. I'm thinking like, we haven't had shit yet, so I know what's gonna be coming. What is wrong with you people? These are the best. Bile and vomit and ejaculate. Sounds like a Saturday night to me, am I right? Am I right? Okay. All right, coming right up, the next story is Notes from an Expedition. Written by Brendan Bork-Shiel and read by Chuck Vaughn. Give it up for Chuck! Ow, ow, ow!